Having a teenage daughter can be both incredibly rewarding and also bring its own fair share of challenges. In this video, I want to share some insights from both my career as a clinical psychologist, but also as a father, to help you connect with and positively influence your teenage daughter, even if they're currently struggling or going through a tough time. So let's dive right on in. I am what they call a girl dad. My first 3 kids were girls, and I have loved having daughters. I love being a dad to girls so much. In some ways, it's very different to being a dad to boys, and in some ways, it's not so different. My girls' personalities are all very different. We've got an artsy, brilliant musician and nutritionist. We've got a science nerd, and we've got another science nerd who's a Division I college athlete. I would say the thing in common with all 3 of my girls is the ways that I've been able to connect with them. Our connections, now they're different with each kid, but they allow me to have influence with them and to feel that I'm a safe person for them to talk with. I'll share with you something unique with each of my daughters that I think will be helpful for you with your daughters. You know, one of my daughters had some struggles growing up. She struggled with self-esteem and friendships and depression and things like that. She would readily share this with people, and she allows me to talk about this. When we talk about it now, she will often remind me, and I love hearing this, but she will often remind me that she appreciated that when she was going through that I was safe. She calls me safe. I was safe for her to talk to when she was younger and struggling. She'll tell me that I was not judgmental or harsh or made her feel ashamed about things that she struggled with. And I really love hearing this because it's exactly what I tried to create for her. You know, in all of her struggles, some of which were very intense for many years, I wanted to be a safe space for her to talk with. I had an interesting experience with another one of my daughters. She's very unique. She has some of my personality characteristics and some of her mom's characteristics. We often joke and tell her that she's just like this really interesting combination of the 2 of us. Well, when she was about 14 years old, I decided one evening to take her out on a daddy-daughter date. I used to travel extensively, and I'd been gone a lot that month for work. And so I just wanted to check in and have a little moment of connection with her. So we went and spent a few hours at a local restaurant. After each of us ordered a piece of pie, I handed her the 5 love languages test for teens. Now this is just a simple little test. It's free to the public. You can get it online. But it talks about this concept of the 5 love languages, which most of you have heard of. As a little side note, I thought this was kind of silly. Like I didn't know much about those love languages. I didn't put a lot of stock into them, into the concept, but I just thought it would be something fun for us to do. Let me just give you a quick summary of these love languages so you can sort of understand what I'm trying to share with you. The 5 love languages, and you can learn more about this on your own, but this basically is the idea that each of us express and experience love in different ways. So here are the 5. Number 1, words of affirmation. So people with this love language feel loved the most by words, by what you say to them. They're also the most easily hurt by words and what you say to them. Number 2 is physical touch. So people with this experience the most love through physical touch, holding hands, hugging, whatever. Number 3 is acts of service. So these are people that love people by doing things for them. That's how they feel love too. Number 4, gifts. Those that have this love language feel the most love when they receive gifts. And it's actually how they also express love to other people. Number 5 is quality time. People with this love language feel love the most when you just spend time with them. The more time, the better. Now, before continuing, I want to thank you for watching this video. Are you ever struggling to communicate with your child or to discipline them effectively? You know, none of us were given a manual when our kids were born with all the rules and steps and things we should do and things we should not do. We learn by trial and error. Well, this channel I've created is all about using my system of correcting and connecting to build a strong, influential relationship with your children. If that's the kind of thing you want to know more about, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with any friends you think it would benefit. All right, let's go back to the video. After taking this test with my daughter, I scored it and I had this revelation. I didn't know this at the time, but I am a words of affirmation and physical touch person. I'm a hugger. I assume everybody likes to be hugged, but not everybody likes to be hugged. But I thought that since I was this way, everybody else was this way. Well, this was my daughter's lowest score. No wonder she didn't initiate a lot of physical affection like I did. What was her highest score? Quality time. I would never have known that. When I shared this with her mom, Valerie just laughed. This was a girl who loved spending time with her mom. It's what meant the most to her. So here's a girl that I thought I knew so well. And I just learned that spending more time with her meant a whole lot more than hugging her or telling her how much I appreciated, which were my love languages. It's been 8 years since we went on that date, and we still remember and talk really fondly of that night. Lastly, I had a really special experience with another one of my daughters. At the time, this girl had just received some really bad news. The boy that she liked and the boy that she had been seeing for a few months just asked somebody else out to prom. But she didn't hear this from him, she heard it from a mutual friend, and she was devastated. This is a typically bubbly, happy, energetic girl, and now she's quiet, sad, and withdrawn. And because it was the day just before Valentine's Day when I heard this, I decided to send her a text message. And I just asked her if she would go out on a date with me that night. This was in the middle of the week. Going on dates was something I did frequently with my daughters, but because it was a school night, I wasn't sure if she could even do it. Well, I was leaving town the next day, so I just wanted to see if it was possible. I was actually expecting her to tell me that she was too busy, because she's always so busy. Well, to my great surprise, she sent me a message back telling me she was so excited to do this date with me that night. She even added several little heart emojis, so I knew it was a good idea. A little backstory about her. She's an athlete, and she had committed a long time earlier to be sugar-free. She had been sugar-free for 2 years. So I went out and found this bakery that made sugar-free cupcakes. And so $8 and 2 cupcakes later, and I had everything I needed. I grabbed some candles. We were on our way. So we live up in the mountains. There's this really pretty little cliff that kind of looks out over the valley. So I took her up there. We looked out over the city. We had these little 2 cupcakes by candlelight. And the next hour was a lot of talking on her part and a lot of listening on my part as I'm hearing about her heartbreak. And for all my preaching about listening, I'm telling you, it was difficult to listen that night. She was so hurt and sad, and I felt so protective, and I wanted so badly to convince her just to get rid of this kid, just to move on, that he wasn't worth her time. But I resisted, and I just listened, and I listened and listened. And she cried a lot that night. She shed a lot of tears. Well, then we were done. We drove home, and I hugged her and told her I loved her, and I felt lucky to be her dad, and that was basically it. Summarize that night, there was a lot of listening, there was no advice, there's a little bit of physical affection, a lot of words of love expressed, but that was about it. And as I was sitting there thinking about our evening, I really sort of wondered if it had done anything for her. And I overheard her tell her mom, she didn't know I heard this, but she said, "This was the best date I've ever been on." And what a profound experience where listening and connecting really is what was called for. In summary, in my experience, my daughters and I have very special emotional connections, and I found different ways to connect with each of them. I've found that connecting is just as important to them as it has been to me. So with your daughters, be open, be curious, find ways to create a special bond with your daughter. There's nothing like it, and it's one of the most valuable gifts in my life. Are you looking for a more effective way to connect with your child and build long-term positive influence? Maybe your child is misbehaving or going through a difficult phase and you struggle to know how to discipline them, or even sometimes just how to reach them at all. Well, my name is Dr. Todd Corelli, and I've spent the last 25 years as a clinical psychologist working primarily with children, adolescents, young adults, and families. I've worked with literally thousands and thousands of families across the globe, and I've seen the challenges that are facing families. That's why I've created a 4-part video series that is completely free to watch and available online for immediate viewing. This helps parents become much more effective at bonding with and positively influencing their kids. This system is completely unique and highly effective. I've seen this system benefit my own family and so many others. I want your family to have this too. So just go to the link in the video description below, or go to correctandconnect.com. Enter your details, click the button, and I'll send you immediate access.